Okay, so we've covered a huge chunk on traffic. You have a lot of options for getting traffic. Remember the formula? Traffic times conversion. We're aiming to get you a 100% increase in your online sales in 6 months or less. We only have to increase traffic by 50% and conversions by 50% to do that. By the way, when you achieve that, which you will, once you've done that, then you do it again. I mean, literally. You do it, you take it to the next level. There are so many nuances and things to try to and test in what you're doing. You do it again. So let's look at conversions. There are really 4 secrets to online conversion. 4 things you want to be looking at and focusing on and paying attention to. The first is focus and intent, which goes to what we said about earlier, about you need to be clear what the intention of your page is, and you need to focus on getting the person to take an action. When somebody comes to a web page, particularly if you've paid for someone to go to a web page, there's something you want them to do at the end of that process. It's normally either going to be to buy something or to sign up as what we call a lead for lead generation. Now, in a few circumstances, if you're in e-commerce, for example, you may want it to go to the next point on the site. But whatever it is, number 1, you've got to be clear what it is, and number 2, they've got to be clear. And so you've got to make a choice between sale or lead generation. And there's no right and wrong with this, but generally speaking, you want to test both. You want to test, okay, what happens if I go for the immediate sale? And what happens if I go for the lead generation push? So let's look at that. So here's an example of a web page that is very clear on its intent and is very focused. So this is a page offering online video. It's basically a studio. It's a studio in California where you can go and you can produce your online video. There's a headline that says, "Discover why video is the best kept marketing secret ever and get these free resources today." There's a subheading and a list of 6 bullet points. Bullet points are magic in marketing. You can never go wrong with doing a nice little list of bullet points. Because when you do a list of bullet points, this could be in a website, could be in a brochure, could be in a letter. Whenever you say to a customer, basically, if you do this thing or buy this thing, you will get or you will experience, and then you list 6 things, that forces you to communicate to them the benefits of what they're going to get. So there's the bullet points, there's the email sign-up box, and there's send me my free shortcut. So this is lead generation. This is signing up for free information. And then underneath are 3 sets of testimonials. That is a perfect example. There's a video. I'm going to play the video later, actually. But that's a perfect example of clear focus and clear intent. They've made the decision not to try to sell to you. It doesn't say, come and get a video done, it's 5,000 quid, give us a call, or the equivalent to that. It's not trying that at all. There's nothing in there about spending money with them. The intent is to begin a relationship. Okay? Now, this works in e-commerce just as well. Now, this is what looks like a very sort of bland, simple, straightforward Amazon page. But actually, in its bland, simple, straightforwardness, it's very, very clear. You click on the book about Buzz Aldrin, there's the title of the book, there's the ratings, there's the pricing, there's the delivery policy, and then towards the bottom of the page, there's a description of the book. Now, you can scroll down the page and get all the reviews and everything, but it gives you everything you need to know before you scroll down the page. If you sell online, meaning if at any point anybody spends money with you on the internet and transacts with you on the internet, you should pay huge amounts of attention to Amazon. Not just because they're so large and so profitable, but because they are the largest internet marketing tester in the world. They test numerous variations of everything. Everything on that page exists because of testing. That button is where it is on the right-hand side because they've tested it. That white space there, which actually is normally we wouldn't normally encourage, I promise you it's there because they've tested it. And one of the interesting things about these pages is they're not very elegant, are they? It's almost an ugly page. But often in internet marketing, ugly works best. But it's clear. Its intent is clear. Here's this book. Here's this information on it. Buy it. There's no ambiguity about it. Now, if you're going to do lead generation, you need to show the visitor and the user a compelling reason to get whatever the free thing is that you are offering. And still, by a long, long way, the best thing to offer people for free is a free information guide, which they can download maybe as a PDF, but also ideally you can send to them in the post. So here's an example of one on Argentinian wine. This person was a wine expert. This is making the most out of fudge, okay? Now, I'm showing you this because you can create, people say, well, my business is different. I couldn't. No, everybody can do this. And this is the best way to begin the relationship. Successful corporate well-being programs. This is the front cover of a guide that will be sent out to users. Bringing freedom and independence to wheelchair users. So there's nothing you can't create an information guide on. That one's on leadership success. Here's another page with very clear intent and focus. And this is interesting because this is a lawyer. This is American, but this is an American law firm. Now, that is not how you would imagine a typical lawyer's webpage to look. It has video on it, and it has links to free ebooks. The purpose and intent of this site, this page and this site, is to get you to sign up for a free ebook. And I happen to know, because I know of this person, they're extraordinarily successful, taking direct response marketing that works and applying it to their business. Somebody asked me a question before lunch, and it reminded me of, I was saying to this person, the phrase I've heard more over the years from people is you'll show them a marketing strategy, and they'll say, well, that's great, but my business is different. It's a phrase you hear again and again and again. My business is different. You know, I'm a lawyer. My business is different. No, your business is not different. Because ultimately what you're doing is you're influencing another human being. It doesn't matter if you're selling screwdrivers or selling law services. You're influencing a human being to spend money with you, which they will do when they appreciate the value that you offer. The second thing you've got to have is an irresistible offer. An irresistible offer. Selling on the internet is tough because of the habitual behavior you're having to deal with your users, because we've been trained to surf the web. That's why conversion rates average about 1%. Therefore, you'd better have something pretty compelling to get them to do what you want them to do. So if you're selling something direct, it needs to be an irresistible offer. An irresistible offer is something that, when you look at it, you just be crazy daft not to do it. That's the definition of an irresistible offer. Particularly important with new customer acquisition. But even if you offer free information like those information guides we just looked at, which, by the way, if you're prioritizing your plan for the year ahead, you want to have that pretty high up on the list, along with things like video. Even when you're giving away something free, you've actually still got to make it an irresistible offer. You might think, well, it's free. What more do they want? Well, you're still asking for something in return. You're still asking for their contact information, some privacy information from them. So you've got to make it irresistible. I don't even see the detail of this. We'll give you the URL, by the way. We're just sorting it out by the end of the day to be able to get these slides. This is a Paul McKenna product that Paul sells in America. Paul's a good friend of ours. Paul came and spoke at one of our Gold Mastermind meetings about influence. And if you have a look, particularly on the right-hand side, look at all the stuff you get, literally for just $19.95 or $9.95. This whole page, which is the order form page, is positioned for the offer to be irresistible. So when you go back later tonight and you look at what you're doing online, you need to be asking yourself the question, at the point you say to somebody, right, do something now, buy from me, or whatever it may be, at that point, you need to be making an irresistible offer. The third secret of online conversion is ease. This is so important. The opposite to this is people inhibit their online sales hugely by making things difficult and making the journey and the process difficult for your customer. As online users, we are inherently lazy. We're very, very lazy. That's why Amazon does stuff like one-click ordering. If it's not easy, we're gone. So you have to make the process easy. Again, think Amazon. Okay, so you arrive at Amazon, the red arrow is pointing to their search bar. By the way, if I had an e-commerce site, I would have that bar, that size, on my homepage and on the significant pages. If Amazon have found that that works, you at least would want to be testing that. So it's easy. You arrive there and it's easy to find and look for what you're looking for. When you do the search, you get your options presented in an easy way. You've got the product on the left, you've got the order form on the right, you've got the copy on the bottom. It's all easy. It's easy to see and it's easy to read. And then placing the order is simple. All laid out in a very simple, easy way. Easy, easy, easy. It is so, so important. And let me just go back, because I'll say one other thing about this. Those of you doing e-commerce particularly, but again, anybody, one of the things you should obsess about is what we call shopping cart abandonment. Shopping cart abandonment. Your shopping cart abandonment rate is the percentage of people who begin your checkout process who don't complete it. So they click on your product and they go to, maybe it's a cart or a sales page. They get there, but they don't finish. Here's why this is so important. If they've got that far, they should be buying from you, because they're pretty interested, or they wouldn't have got to that point. And if they're not buying from you, it's normally because there's something wrong with the process. Here's the scary, scary, scary bit. You know what the average shopping cart abandonment, the range of the average abandonment rates are? It's often in the 50 to 80% range. 50 to 80%. If you're less than 50, you're doing really well and you're exceptional. What does that mean? That means if you just sort this out, maybe you could double your online sales. You'll certainly increase them, and you'll increase them significantly. So number one is you need to get those figures from your web person or people. It's quite easy to do with a bit of analytics on the pages. You need to find out what that number is. And then you need to start testing variations of what you've got to bring that number down. And the thing that will keep your shopping cart abandonment really high is not doing this, not making it easy. The biggest thing is where you have multiple steps to get to a sale. You know the difference between you go to a page and there's the order page and there's the product and you put in your name and your credit card and you press a button and you've got it. That's one version. The other version is you go to a page, it's got the product and you click, and you go to another page, it just tells you about it again and you click. It goes to another page and it asks for your first name and you click, and you go to another page and it just goes on and on and on. Well, every step in that process you lose people because people are lazy. And just cutting that down from 5 steps to maybe 2 steps could really make a big difference. The other thing that kills conversions is, if by any chance you're in e-commerce and are still doing this, is forcing people to become a member of something before you sell to them. If you're doing that, you should knock that on the head straight away. Because again, it just psychologically, they're in a hurry, they want to buy something. Now you might think, well, all it takes is them filling out the same form. Well, yeah, but that's not how people think. So do not force people to join something before selling things. I will say that normally the biggest, quickest, fastest increase we get in sales with anyone selling online is working on this. We had a lady in the Gold Mastermind group on one of our early calls towards the end of last year. So one of the things we do on our monthly calls is we review your website, and we look and we work with you on your website. And she had an e-commerce site, and it was all kind of rolling along. And we found something in the process. We found one thing which basically was just killing all the sales. So you need to go in and go through your process and make sure it's easy. And the other thing you need to do is get other people to go through your process. Now, I'm not a huge fan of showing people your marketing and asking them what they think. That is not normally an effective thing to do. But this is an exception. You want to sit a couple of people down who are new to your business and say, can you go through this process and buy something? And tell me anything about it that you find difficult or a struggle. One of the really nice things about my work is I would think of you like you're sitting in the seat. I kind of picture gold underneath your seat. There is literally gold there. There are so many areas of hidden profit in your business where we can go in and just immediately increase your profits. And this, without doubt, is one of them. The fourth thing, which is a biggie, is social proof. Social proof is a fundamental element of human influence. Social proof says that we will do something if we see other people doing it. So if you think of things like, think of the history of smoking, okay? There was a lag time between the knowledge coming out about the potential harm that smoking can do and people in large-scale numbers giving up. Well, why would that be? You would think the knowledge alone made the difference, but no. People won't take actions until they see the people around them doing it. It's a very interesting area of psychology. But in terms of you selling to a customer, there's a significant proportion of your customers who won't buy from you or are hard to get to buy from you until they see proof that other people are doing it. So the addition of social proof to your website is essential. And there's a couple of ways of doing it. One is straightforward testimonials. So here's that diet site we looked at earlier. And when it scrolls down the page, it's got the copy, it's got the offer of a free report, and then it's got very dramatic testimonials and case studies. Lost 4 stone, 4 dress sizes down, not just a boot camp, it's got before and after pictures. If you took that social proof off that page, it would destroy the sales. So you can have them on a page in terms of testimonials, case studies, if you have something visual like this before and after. The other way to do it is with video. So this is a great site from a company that offers email services. In fact, I'll play this for you. This is their testimonial video page.
Absolutely staggering. The first one we sent out, we got 30 positive replies within the first 2 hours, and of those, 2 led directly to opportunities to do business, and another one gave us the opportunity to talk to a very big blue chip company in the Bristol area with a view to helping them with some of their redundancy packages.
Within the first hour of the campaign going out, I already had responses that turned straight into work for me.
Every month I've had loads of responses within the first couple of hours of the email being sent out, and one of them's even led to a meeting with a new blue chip company down in London, which for us is fantastic.
Essential Mail seem to know about all the spam issues, so all of my messages go into the right place and don't get caught by the spam filters.
Okay, now that's like video in action. That's what video is about. And I'm not 100% sure, but it looks to me like they went out to these people's locations to film it, which is well worth doing. So however you do it, however it works for you in your business, you've got to have social proof on your site, and the addition of social proof can have a significant impact for you. Okay, we mentioned the fifth before lunch, the fifth of our 5 traffic sources was email marketing. So I wanted to come back and just spend a chunk of time looking at email. I guess if I had to pick out of all of them, the most underused resource available to all of us, it really would be email marketing. And people don't necessarily think of it as a traffic source. So do you remember we said that you want to treat your customers and your non-customers very differently? but you still want to have online marketing to your customers to resell to them, because we want to increase our customer value and the amount of money the customer spends. Well, email is the best way of getting your existing customers, who, let's face it, are the most likely people to buy, back to your website. So I want to go through some of the fundamentals of email marketing with you, and what you should be doing and what you should be avoiding. Okay, so the formula for successful email marketing involves a few elements. The first is frequency, which means the amount of times, the number of times that you send emails out. I can predict with almost 100% certainty that you are not sending enough emails. I can do that because I interact with hundreds and in fact thousands of business owners, and it's almost unheard of to find a business that is sending too many emails. One of the issues is we're all too close to our business. So if you send an email 3 days in a row, for example, 1 email a day, 3 days in a row, you're going to feel like perhaps that's a bit much. But the reality is probably your customers are only seeing 1 out of those 3 emails anyway. They're either ignoring 2 of them, or they're not coming through the spam filters, or whatever. So you're almost certainly not sending enough emails. Now, what's the ideal number? There is no ideal number. It's whatever your relationship with your customer allows. But there is a big myth that people don't like getting emails. Okay? This is not the case. What people don't like is they don't like getting crap. They don't like getting spam. And they also don't like stuff that's boring. And with emails from businesses, the issue is not so much the frequency. The issue is that people find them boring. If you think of most of the business B2B or B2C emails you get, most of them are very boring. They're those sort of newsletter formats, and there's nothing in it of great interest. So you don't want to buy into the myth. Now, here's the important thing. You get to choose how often you email your customers by your positioning. By positioning, I mean how you are positioning yourself to them in your relationship with them. You get to choose that. Now, if you're an accountant and you only send 2 emails to your customers every year, and next week you start sending them every day, they'll probably abreact. Now, there are still ways of doing it, but that would be a big jump because your positioning has not enabled and allowed you to do that. If I send you an email every day next week, probably the worst case scenario is you going, oh, another email from him. Because my positioning is enabling me to send the emails. I'm in a slightly fortunate position, which is because I show people internet marketing, I can actually make a thing of the fact that I send lots of emails. So that is a slight advantage. But there are lots of people in lots of different types of businesses now who, for example, send daily emails. And if you just position yourself when people opt in to what you're receiving, you may want to give them the option of ticking a box to get the daily ABC update from you. And they won't all go for it, but a proportion of them will. Now, you don't have to send daily emails, but you must be emailing your customers at least once a week. Why on earth wouldn't you email your customers at least once a week? And probably considerably more than that. The second part of the formula is normality, meaning the emails you send people need to look like normal emails. They need to look and feel like the emails their brain is used to seeing. For some reason, someone somewhere, I think it was at the same meeting when they started handing out the business cards, decided that when businesses send emails, they should look completely different to all the other emails you receive. They should be colourful, they should have 17 graphics and 23 links, which nobody's interested in. In fact, your brain has learned that when you get one of those emails, it's a business trying to flog you something. The emails you're used to seeing and responding to are the emails that talk to you like a human being. And you have to take my word for it, this is the most successful internet marketer in the history of the world ever. I suggest we model what works. His name is Barack Obama. And their email campaign, not their email, but their overall internet marketing campaign in the last election raised over $1 billion, a billion with a B. This is what the emails he sends look like. Chris, this is the last time on the campaign that I'll ask you. Want to meet for dinner? Donate $5 or whatever you can, and you'll automatically be entered to join me, etc., etc. I truly appreciate everything you've done to move the campaign forward. Take the next step, donate $5. Then there's a link, Barack. P.S. I'm not sure where on the campaign train we'll meet up, but no matter where it is, we'll fly you and a guest out there and put you up for the night. Okay? Now, if you saw the people and the expertise, I mean, they got all the good people from Google and everything to work on their internet marketing, and the sophistication they did with their targeting was extraordinary. I promise you faithfully that if it had been more effective to send this in multicolours with lots of different links and stuff, they would have done it. That's the sort of email that your customers want to receive, because you want to build a relationship through your email, and you want them reacting to you in the same way that they would react to everybody else. Now, I've been saying this now for years and years and years and years, and what I still see is people half-heartedly doing it. So they'll sort of do it, but they'll still put big graphics and big logos on it. You don't send an email to your best friend with a graphic logo on it, do you? So why do it to your customers? Your customers are human beings. If you actually start treating them as human beings and talking to them like you talk to other human beings, and people say, well, what about B2B? It's actually even more the case in B2B. In business to business, people are so fed up, like day in, day out, of all the BS in business. You come along as a real human being, and they love it. Third biggie in email marketing is open rates. So the open rate is the proportion of people who open your email. So you've got two big issues with email marketing. One is delivery, and getting your emails delivered in the first place. But then what we're seeing decreasing now is open rates, which is the proportion of people who open the emails. So you need to be very focused on increasing your open rates. You do this in a couple of ways. You want to establish some kind of intrigue. You want some intrigue in the titles of your emails. And the titles of your emails are what it's all about. So if you go, again, when you go back, you make a note, go back and look at the last couple of months of emails from me about stuff, probably primarily about this event. And you'll see that nearly all the titles, they're basically headlines. The purpose of the title of the email is to get people to read the email. Nothing else. Again, the big mistake businesses make is they make the title of the email the offer. 10% off until Saturday. Who is going to open that? Nobody. It doesn't work. So you want to do intriguing emails. We sent an email a couple of weeks ago about this event, and it was just called Onassis. It was a quote from Onassis. You send emails with things like, why the cat disapproved of this. Like, what else does that mean? Bruce Springsteen would be disappointed. I mean, they're all somewhat ambiguous, vague, but they get people intrigued, and they get people opening the emails. Now, to pull all this off, and to also give yourself and the customers permission to have this relationship where you're sending a lot of emails, you've got to go beyond selling in the emails. What we're trying to establish here is a situation where your email marketing is part of this relationship, this ongoing two-way relationship with your customers. And the more that can be about you, the better. So you have to build very quickly in your email marketing this relationship. First of all, your email should always come from one person, and it should be the same person. You, if that's appropriate, someone else. But your business needs a human being that is the email face and identity of your business. Then when you start doing that, you build that relationship by making them as personal as you can. And yes, you can use emails to sell and promote, and that's great. But every now and then, what I always say to people is, if you went and saw a great film last night, email your customers and let them know. Why shouldn't you? They'll value it. It'll make you human. So you want to go beyond selling, and you want to start thinking of ways either linked to what you do or maybe not linked to what you do, that enable you and give you permission to have this relationship with your customers. Because then when you send the next email that is selling something, first of all, they'll open the email because they're never quite sure what you're going to send. But secondly, they'll be far more likely to buy from you. So, and I have countless experiences of this, and I'm going to show you, and if you've been to our events over the years, you'll have seen this before, but this remains the most successful email I've ever sent, and until I can beat it, I will be showing this, I have a feeling, for a long, long time. So I'm going to show you the most successful email, or rather what I sent people to from the most successful email. So I send all these emails about marketing strategy and internet strategy and all the rest. Well, a while back I had a birthday due, and I had it at a nice hotel in London, the Lanesborough, and it was my birthday, and so I thought, you know what, the next day, just based on this, I'll share it with my customers. I had no ulterior motive. My birthday's in August, 12th if you're taking notes. And so it was a quiet time of the year. We weren't selling stuff or anything like that. I thought, I'm just going to send the photos. So I sent them to a page with the photos for my birthday. And this was the most successful email I ever sent. And here's why it was the most successful email I ever sent. So this was the page. If you imagine this page going down. Chris's birthday pics, Lanesborough Hotel, picture of the hotel. Picture, that's my nan on the left, that's my sister on the right, showed my family. Another nice thing to do, if you can let people get to know you as a human being, then that is a nice thing to do. We had Darren Brown came to my birthday, and he did some cool stuff, and did all his tricks, and did all his stuff, which I thought, frankly, when I sent the email, I thought, everyone will think that's very, very cool, so that is another reason I sent the email. Well, they sort of did, but that wasn't really the thing. That's Darren Brown putting my mum into a trance and zoning her out at the dinner. And then without really sort of thinking about it, I put this next slide on, which is my Uncle Mick. Now, if you're under 30, this will mean nothing to you, but my Uncle Mick, who's actually my godfather, is Mick McManus, who was a wrestler in the 1980s, okay? Well, Mick's my godfather, and to me, he's Uncle Mick. I don't really sort of think about it. So I put this at the end of this page. We got, I can't remember the number now, I mean, it was like 700, 800 emails back from this email. It was unbelievable. Please tell Mick I used to watch him on a Saturday afternoon on ITV. Oh, please tell Mick that they shouldn't have pulled his ears so much. It was really unfair. Oh, I saw Mick in Watford Town Hall in 1947. Oh. And it was the biggest response to any email I'd ever sent, ever. Which, frankly, since some of the others contained some words of real quiet marketing genius, slightly peeved me. But that's the reality. So people responded more to this, which was about human beings and stuff, and I guess a bit of celebrity, you could say. People responded more to that than anything I'd written about the stuff I sell, ever. So bear that in mind. I promise you, you'll be really surprised at how people will warm to you and respond to you if you just open up to them and just start communicating to them like human beings. And the nice thing is, nobody does this. Your competitors aren't doing this. Nobody does it. There's no downside. This is all free, so there's really no downside to doing it. To do email effectively, you've got to have an autoresponder in place. And I was a bit shocked, as I said, when I looked at the 2,000 websites and also when I looked at the survey results. A lot of you still don't have an automatic data capture and email communication system, which is what an autoresponder is. Without an autoresponder, you can't do this properly. You can't send emails to significant numbers of people one at a time and grow an email list and grow a business and do it one at a time. It's just kind of too much. It's too much to ask for. And what I've seen over the years is that the golden rule to all this is to just get started with it. A lot of people, it's interesting, tonight we're going to talk about, over the 20 years I've been doing this, and before actually my media work, I got to meet and hang out with some really interesting people. I was hanging out with Richard Branson on his boat and all this sort of stuff, and loads of people who aren't as famous. And so just from a personal perspective, I was always obsessed with how these people did it and studying success. So I've done all that. But also, I suppose, without deliberately doing it, I've had quite a big study in how people fail, and how people don't fulfill their dreams and struggle. And, one of the biggest ways people manage to pull off the struggling thing is they're looking for perfection. And they're waiting for perfection. And it's like, well, I'll do this when it's just right. I can't do email marketing yet because I haven't got the system in place. We're still doing the website, and I haven't written the emails. I haven't quite worked out whether, and I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes, Get on there, send out your first email, see what happens. Send another email out 3 or 4 days later, see what happens, and go with that. But start building. We will talk about it, but I have to tell you, the propensity to take massive action fast, to make decisions fast, when something's presented with you and it's an option and it makes sense to you, the ability for you to go for it, like really just go for it immediately, is an absolute character trait of every single millionaire entrepreneur I have ever met. If you take that out of the mix, I'm not sure it's possible, in all honesty with you. If you're not that way inclined, it's a learned skill. They weren't born with that. It's a learned skill. And you have to start picking, of all the material we're talking about, pick some things to start on. I cannot think of a better area to start with than email marketing, because there's no downside. It costs either nothing or virtually nothing. It will only do you good. But when you start integrating this with everything else, the cumulative effect of everything is really significant. Now, I've got 3 game changers for you, which are new. This is new time, okay? Some of this is brand new. Some of it's like new as in the last year. But of all the things going on, I'm trying to condense this into these are what you are going to want to focus on. And understand, I view today as whether you're inexperienced in internet marketing or whether you're an old hand, to me, this is like day one of the rest of your internet marketing life. This is the foundation. The question now is what happens next? And where do you go from here, and how do you put this into place and get all the support to do it? So in that, I've been trying to funnel the main areas that you should focus on. And I'm sure you understand, we could be in this room for like 17 days. There's no end of stuff to talk about. But here's 3 game changers that I did want to share with you. The first is something called TrueView, which is very new from Google and YouTube. So I was in San Francisco, as I mentioned, last month, and we were briefed by Google on what they're doing, and we were briefed by Susan, who I can never pronounce her name, Wojnak or something. She's the lady who talk about making a smart decision quickly. When these 2 guys called Larry and Serge asked if they could rent her garage for this little startup business, she went, oh, okay. And that turned out to be rather a good idea, because they built Google in her garage, and she's now a major shareholder. Anyway, she's the head of advertising, and she was briefing. And it was very, very interesting, because she was talking about where they're going and what they're trying to do. And it's important that along with the specific step-by-step things we're covering here today, I really want you to have an understanding of where this world is going, where this internet marketing world is going. Because you think it's been changing over the last year or two, where we're going is fundamentally different. Google is on a mission, and it's on a mission to change all internet advertising into permission advertising, meaning advertising that people actually want. So there's 2 types of advertising. Until the internet, everything was what we call interruption advertising. Interruption advertising is you're watching a TV show and some ads come on. They kind of interrupt the program, don't they? You're reading a newspaper or magazine and you're interrupted by the ads. They're kind of getting in front of you and they're trying to grab your attention. That's traditional advertising. Google came along with its search advertising and did permission advertising. So the ads crop up, but nothing happens until you click on them. There is an element of permission involved. You are choosing to go through this process, which, by the way, is why the traffic tends to be so valuable, because people are choosing to go to your website. Well, they want to expand this out to the rest of internet advertising, including banner advertising and specifically video advertising. And TrueView is a form of video advertising. Now, you might be thinking, well, hang on a minute, I've not even got video on my website. I'm not ready for video advertising. Doesn't matter. You want to be ready in your head, because if you're going to be running a great business 2 years from now, 3 years from now, I promise you, you're going to be doing video advertising. And one of the reasons you want to get video on your website, and good video on your website sooner rather than later, is you want to be set up for all of this. So video advertising is already huge, but it's becoming huge. Now, at the moment, it's primarily done on YouTube. And as we mentioned, YouTube is the world's second largest search engine. So that in its own is significant. But here's what TrueView advertising is. You may have seen this. TrueView advertising is where basically you agree to watch the ad. You agree to watch the video, and you have the option to opt out of the video. So I'll show you an example, and you want to watch the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and you'll see the little logo that says you can skip this ad in 5 seconds, and after 5 seconds there's actually a little button you can click on which skips the ad. It says skip ad. And if you click on it, it goes through to whatever the website is. So now you and I might think of that as opting out of an ad, which it kind of is. Google thinks about it as opting into an ad. In other words, if you don't click that, you are choosing to watch the ad. You are opting to watch the ad. And if you're the advertiser, Google only charges you for the people who watch the whole ad. They only charge you for people who watch the whole ad. Now, revolution, think about that. Think about where that is going. Advertising, where people choose to engage in your advertising, and you only have to pay for the people who choose. If we could create a great video for you and have 1,000 people see that video, and you pay for that, maybe you pay £1 for each person who watches it, but every single one of them has chosen to watch it, and everyone else has gone away and you're not paying for them, transforms the world of advertising. So you can do this now on YouTube. So at the moment, 70% of the advertising on YouTube is TrueView advertising. You can do it locally like you can do anything else, but more to the point, not suggesting this necessarily be top of your list, I just want you to be aware of it in terms of where this is going and where this is taking us and the impact, the huge impact it's going to have going forward. The second of our game changers has actually been around for almost a year now, and it's the Google Display Optimizer. It's been around for a year, but it's also being worked on and improved for a year, and so this is worth your effort. This is an extraordinary tool. So think back to our conversation before lunch about banner advertising, display advertising. And we said that the one thing we know about pretty much everybody is everyone's on the internet every day, and everyone's on websites that serve ads, banner ads. So actually, we can reach all of your customers pretty much with banner ads. And we looked at the fact that not only that, but you can segment down to the type of website, to the age group, male, female, etc., 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 their interests and all the rest of it. Now that's great. In fact, it's not just great, it's quite extraordinary if you stop and think about it. The problem is if you're trying to run a small, medium-sized business, what that really requires you to do, if you're going to pull that off, is run the banner advertising, test different websites, test different demographics, test different age groups, test different interests, test different times of the day, test different geographic locations, do all that, measure all that. When you've measured it all, work out which bits are working best, take it all, work out which ones are worth spending 20 pence on, 33 pence, 43 pence, and all the rest of it. You could employ somebody full-time just to do that. It might be worth your while, but it's a big barrier, frankly, to most people doing it. The Google Display Optimizer basically does all that for you. It serves up your banner ads on Google, and it learns. It's like it's got a brain, and it learns. It learns that actually, of the 743 websites we serve your ads on, these 27 work brilliantly, these 45 work pretty well, and the rest are a waste of time. It learns that you get a better response between, 3 in the afternoon and 7 in the evening than you do in the morning. It learns that people in these geographic locations perform better. It learns, and then it combines it all together. So people in these geographic locations on this web, do you see what I mean? At a level that a human being could never do. And Google has put millions and millions and millions into building this really sophisticated system that does all this for you. A phrase you're going to hear more in the marketing and internet marketing world is done for you. The smart businesses are coming along to businesses like yours and saying, look, you're trying to run your business, guess what? We'll do it all for you. That's the path to profits, and the Display Optimizer is an example of that. And Google have actually got a really nice little video that explains it, so I thought I'd just briefly play that to you.
The internet is growing. That means more websites exist, and people spend their time in more places online. There are over 1 million websites on the Google Display Network alone. So as a display advertiser, how do you find the people you're trying to reach? Figuring this out can usually mean spending a lot of time managing your campaigns. Now what if you could get some of that time back? What if you didn't have to worry about finding sites, adjusting settings, and constantly monitoring your campaigns? What if there was a way to set your goals and some powerful technology automatically sorted through millions of sites to find all the right places to show your ads? And as a result, you got more conversions from your ads targeted at a cost that you set. There is. It's called the Display Campaign Optimizer. It's a tool that automatically finds the best places to show your ads on the millions of pages across the Google Display Network. Set your budget and target CPA, and the Display Campaign Optimizer will manage bidding and targeting on your behalf to deliver as many conversions as possible at the lowest cost possible based on your target CPA. It works by taking a lot of information into account when targeting and optimizing your campaign, like what your ads say and what landing page you're using. It also considers what specific web pages in the Google Display Network are about. And it looks at information about the people you want to reach, where they are, what time it is, and how likely they are to buy from you. For every single ad impression, the Display Campaign Optimizer considers thousands of variables to determine where and when to place your ads. The best part is, over time, it learns what is and isn't working, and uses that to refine what it does. The end result? Your message in all the right places, at the right time, and a price that's worth it, leading to a higher return on your advertising investment. If you want to get the most out of your conversion-oriented display campaigns, talk to your AdWords account rep today about the Display Campaign Optimizer.
Pretty cool stuff. Two cool things about Google. One is the Display Optimizer, and the other thing is when you go to their offices, you can nick stuff, and it's great. I don't know why that popped into my mind, but it just did. So actually, the way that works, just so you know, because you can go and do this now, this is the optimizer as opposed to nicking the stuff from Google, is you have to run a campaign on a display network, and you have to get about 30 conversions just kind of manually, okay, just running it. But once you've got about 30 conversions, you literally press a button to turn on the Display Optimizer, you sit back, and you let it do all the work for you. And it can take a bit of time to do that learning, but it can learn really, really well. We're using it, and it's pretty successful. So you want to be doing that. The third game changer is advertising to your customer list on Facebook. So the first one we spoke about, the TrueView video, you just need to be aware of, and at some point in the future you'll probably do. That last one, the Display Optimizer, I would strongly suggest you be doing it. This, if you don't do this, you're nuts, okay? So here's how this works. Facebook have set up a system. So remember the Facebook advertising, which are the ads that appear on Facebook, whereby you get the email list of your customers. Can be an email list of your customers, can be an email list of your prospects and leads. You upload it into Facebook, and if any of those email addresses match the email address of someone with a Facebook account, they'll serve ads to those people. They'll serve your ads to those people, and only those people. What this means is you can serve ads directly to your customers on Facebook. And remember what I said, Facebook's very cheap because of the inventory. So if you're a Facebook user, think of how many pages you click on, maybe a day on Facebook. Well, each time someone clicks on a page, there's 6 ad spaces to be sold, basically, which is why you can get traffic really, really cheap. So traffic's cheap. If you're willing to pay a bit more for these ads to appear, your ads will appear there every time. So we did this to our customers, and if it was a customer on Facebook with their email matched, they had an ad about this event pretty much every time they went onto Facebook. This is like a game changer. I mean, there's no reason you wouldn't want to be doing this. So they have an encryption thing in place, so at no point do they identify this as an individual level, so it's no breach of privacy or anything like that. But this means you're going to have ongoing messages, presumably, for your customers. You're going to have ongoing things that you want to be selling to your customers. If you're doing lead generation, you're going to have your email list and want to be reaching them. You literally go in fact, it's this simple. You go into something in your advertising account called the Power Editor. You go into the Power Editor, and you need, by the way, you need Google Chrome to use their Power Editor for some reason, so you might need to download that. And then when you're in there, you just select on the left Audiences, and then Custom Audience, and literally there's a button. You go in there, and you upload your email list, and, you know, wham bam, thank you ma'am, you are serving ads just to your customers on Facebook. Now, the other thing Facebook is now letting you do is sponsored posts. So you can do posts and pay for those posts to be delivered to certain people on Facebook. Now, you can do that using all those categories we looked at earlier, age group, interest, and the rest of those categories. It tends to not work brilliantly if people don't know who you are, because they tend to sort of abreact to that a little bit. This is something we've tested, and I can attune to this. So you need to be a little bit careful, but if it's your existing customers or your leads, again, what this means is you can actually put posts into the news feed of your customers on Facebook. I have some colleagues who've done some testing who found that if they do lead generation, meaning they'll do pay-per-click on Google, they'll get people to opt in and sign in for one of those information guides, and they split them into two lists. The first list, they just put a follow-up email sequence, and they sold to them over a couple of weeks by email. The second list, they did the same thing, but they also did paid Facebook posts and advertising to them, not selling them anything, just giving them useful information and articles and that kind of thing. And the sales from the second group were 3 times as high as the first group, because they'd had that engagement. They'd had that Facebook engagement going on. So 3 game changers that you will definitely be seeing and hearing more of